Good. Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to look at factors that affect the rate of breathing in human. We'll look at factors that affect breathing rate in humans, and also we'll also look at the regulation process of breathing rate in human being. Now, breathing is a complex process in organism. It occurs unconsciously, as everyone knows, and it's very important for us to know why it is very essential for us to know if we are on the correct track while breathing or while not breathing. Remember, breathing is very important, and no organism can perform all the activities in the body when there is no air in the body. Now let us take a look. We'll basically start with the factors that affect breathing rate in organism, and at a point we'll look at the regulation process of these factors that impacts on the breathing rate of the organism. Let's have a look on some of the factors that affect the breathing rate. Number one factor is physical activity. Generally, physical activity, when you perform a physical activity, there is contraction in muscle, and when muscles contract, they produce what you call carbon dioxide. Yes, carbon dioxide. And we all know that carbon dioxide is a very harmful gas in our body, and therefore it should be released. But when there is limited space for its release, it becomes very toxic to the body, and therefore the body has to meditate and open up on a given way. The body has to behave in a certain way that regulates or consume the produced carbon dioxide in the body. And basically, to rush on this, physical activities involving contraction of muscles makes the carbon dioxide concentration in the body high, and this, on the other hand, will lead to the inadequacy of oxygen, and therefore oxygen is required much to consume the large amount of carbon dioxide that is produced in the body. And therefore, when we perform a physical activity, the rate of breathing in our bodies, or the rate of breathing in us, will generally increase. Now, this is the process in which regulation of breathing takes place. I'll take you briefly through it. Generally, breathing, like I said earlier, is a process that takes place unconsciously in the body. It involves the movement of oxygen into and out of the body. Generally, it takes place through the nose in the case of human being, but in other animals, i.e. complex animals or simple prokaryote, it takes place in the body through simple diffusion. But in human, it is very important for us, and therefore it is worth knowing that for breathing to take place in our body, it has to be regulated through special organs and special sections of the brain. And the brain's sections that are responsible for the breathing is the pons and the medulla oblongata. They will regulate the flow and the rate and the amount that gets into our body and the amount that should be living in our body, i.e. the amount of carbon dioxide in our body. And therefore, when the we all know that the breathing rate is impacted on or is interfered with when carbon dioxide concentration in the blood rises. But what causes carbon dioxide concentration in the body to rise? Generally, when a body is on metabolic activities. Energy is produced, and in the process of production of energy, carbon dioxide is produced. When carbon dioxide is produced, it goes into the blood. When it goes into the blood, the oxygen becomes deficient in the blood. And what happens after the deficiency of oxygen in the blood? It can cause what you call carbon. It blocks the important components of the blood, i.e. the hemoglobin. But that is not important now. For now, we need to know that the concentration of carbon dioxide makes the changes in the blood. It causes the pH of the blood to go high. Remember, carbon dioxide is acidic. When it interacts with air, when it interacts with the water component in the blood, it becomes more acidic, and that is not good for our body. Therefore, it is worth knowing that the breathing centers is influenced by carbon dioxide level and the pH of the body, and this is done through the transmission of nerve impulse signals to the pons and medulla oblongata. When this happens, the body regulates and starts on giving the body responds effectively for the demand of oxygen. But altitude, we all know that in high altitude areas has low oxygen concentration, that there is deficiency of oxygen in the body. But does the carbon dioxide does the respiration process stops because it is a high altitude area? No. The metabolic rate still continues to happen even when you are in high altitude areas, and that makes the concentration, like I said earlier, of carbon dioxide in the body to be higher. When the concentration of carbon dioxide in the body is higher, the body experiences oxygen deficiency, and thus there is need for oxygen to get more and more and more into the body. Therefore, in high altitude areas, people living there or people who are there tend to breathe faster to cater for more and more oxygen that can react with carbon dioxide in the body to lower its content, because it is very toxic in our body. That is the carbon dioxide. Another factor that interferes with the rate of breathing is the metabolic rate. When metabolic rate increases in the body, remember, respiration is the process in which energy is produced in the body, leading to the production of a lot of carbon dioxide, leading to high pH in the body, and that is not good for the body. And therefore, when metabolic rate increases in the body, the oxygen is required, and more oxygen is required in the body. When oxygen is required in the body, there is increased rate, that is the increased breathing rate in the body. Another property or another factor that leads to the increase in the rate of breathing is emotional state. Emotional states are very many. For example, somebody can be happy, somebody can be in a normal state, somebody can be anxious, somebody can be disgusted, somebody can be furious, somebody can be angry. So there are different emotional states. But it is worth noting that a given emotional state of a person dictates on his breathing rate. But this is basically because of the concentration of an hormone, special hormone that is responsible for fright and fight. The hormone that is produced in the body when the body responds to a situation in the environment. And therefore, for some activities, for example, when the body is on a fright state or when the body is furious, the body will automatically, or the breathing system will automatically go high due to the response from the pons and the medulla oblongata in the body. And therefore, it is worth noting that when somebody is hungry, is furious, is anxious, the breathing rate increases as compared to somebody who is in a normal state. The breathing state just remains on the norm. These are factors that we need to know. When you are experiencing them, you need to do something. One of the factors include chest pain. Chest pain. When there's some disorder in the chest, whereby you experience some difficulties in breathing, there is a lot of breathing that you cannot touch the lung area or the intercostal layer that is in your chest. There is need for you to seek medical attention. Also, when you are producing juggling sound while breathing as if you have difficulty in the body. Mostly this breathing juggling sound is produced when there is some constriction in the breathing system, maybe in the nose or in the trachea or in the bronchioles down there. It can cause juggling sound, and this is not good for your health. Maybe there is some substances that maybe are stuck in the body, and therefore there is a problem. There is need to seek medical attention for you to be checked on. Also, a factor that is known as few breaths per minute. When you experience few breaths per minute, it is worth and it is very important to seek medical attention, because you might be landing into a serious problem that is caused by lungs. That is a problem that can really impact on your breathing. And breathing, is a very essential. There is no organism that can live in the world or that can do anything in the world without air, without unconscious state where you exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide from the body and into the body. So these factors are worth noting that when you experience them, it is important for you to seek medical attention from the medicinal or medical personnel. It should be immediately reported to the personnel for immediate assessment. These are other factors, not other factors, but notes that we need to know about breathing. That a normal breathing rate can be impacted by many other factors, which can lead to increase in the rate of breathing or decrease in the rate of breathing. A good example is a case of children and adults. Children basically breathe faster than adults. There is a complex reason behind it. We'll discuss later. But in this chapter now, we are going to look at why factors that specifically make the breathing rate to go high and factors that specifically make the breathing rate to go down. We'll study them here. Now, low breathing rate. Let's start with the low breathing rate. It is basically having 12 breaths per minute, very dangerous for your body, as compared to high breathing rate, which is 24 to 44 breaths per minute only for adults. I mean 24 to 44 breaths minutes in case of adults. while low breathing rate is 12 breaths per minute. That is a very dangerous state. Low respiration or high respiration have different characters that we're going to discuss, like I said earlier. The continuation, the factors that affect breathing rate into two factors, that is low respiration or low respiration. It is worth noting that it is also known as the low breathing rate, and high respiration is also worth noting that it is the high breathing rate in organism. Now let's start with low breathing rate. Like I said earlier, it is characterized by 12 breaths per minute, and the causes includes the following. So the causes of low breathing rate: number one, drug overdose. Alcohol and other central nervous depressants, i.e. narcotic and benzodiazepines, can depress the drive in the brain and causes low respiration. This is the clarification behind this. When somebody takes drug, e.g. alcohol and other depressants that interferes with the brain, the brain and the central nervous system work closely, like I shared earlier, with the pons and oblongata. In fact, pons and oblongata are parts of the brain in the body. They're part of the brain. And therefore, as we all know that alcohol, when somebody consumes alcohol, this is what happens. Alcohols, in an impulse, for an impulse to take place from an axon to the other, there is a bridge, a gap. And when somebody takes alcohol, there is interference in the gap that transmits the impulses from a point to the other. And therefore, what happens? When there is no proper impulse taken from the brain, i.e. the pons and the medulla oblongata, to the bloodstream, that has been caused by the consumption of alcohol, the breathing rate will generally go down. And that is the science behind drug overdose and alcohol consumption that makes the breathing rate to go beyond the expected. The second factor that affects that impacts or causes low breathing rate is what you call obstructive sleep apnea. Sleep apnea involves the blockage of the airway due to relaxation of tissues and throat. And this is what happens when there is movement of oxygen or movement of gases through the nostrils down to the trachea, to tracheoles and bronchioles in the lungs. There might be some obstacles that might be stuck in these areas. For example, somebody who is employed in area that has a lot of dust, for example, somebody that is employed in maram road construction, it is likely that there is a lot of dust that is getting into his nostrils while he breathes. And this dust over sometimes they stuck in layers, and this impacts and cause the blockage in these tubes that transfer oxygen smoothly. This is what causes sleep apnea. The air pathway is blocked or it is reduced in the size to allow maximized oxygen entry. And this blockage in airway causes oxygen entry or air entry to be impaired, and that leads to low oxygen intake or low rate of breathing in the body. Another factor that can cause low breathing is head injuries. Like we said earlier, breathing is regulated by pons and medulla oblongata through the transmission of impulses to the brain and out of the brain. And therefore, when somebody has a head injury, what is likely to happen is that the injury is likely to move, or it might likely to cause damage to the brain. And the brain is the medulla oblongata and the pons. This generally impacts in the breathing rate of the organism, i.e. the pons and the medulla oblongata will therefore work well not, and this will cause low breathing rate or low respiration in the body. Let's have a look on high exhalation. Like we said earlier, high exhalation is characterized by 24 to 44 breaths per minute. It is a safe state, but there are extreme cases that can lead to very high breathing rate in human. And what are these cases? What are these factors that can cause extreme cases of breathing in human being? Number one, anxiety. Like I said earlier, these are a form of emotional state. We already discussed emotional state, but I'll expound on this. That people breathe faster when afraid or anxious. Fast breathing or hyperventilation is a common characteristic of panic attack. Panic attack is a disease, is a lung disease. Is a breathing deficiency disease. And hyperventilation is a common character. Hyperventilation means taking in a lot of oxygen or fast, very abnormal breathing rate into the body. The second factor is fever. Fever in the body. When someone has fever in the body, there is increase in temperature of the body. And when there is increase in the body temperature, there is more breakdown of substances in the body. Energy demand goes high in the body. This leads to production of carbon dioxide, which therefore leads to what? Need for more oxygen. And therefore the body tends to compensate or levelize the carbon dioxide that is taken in that is in the body to a normal state. Therefore, the body is likely to breathe faster, or the individual is likely to breathe faster, so that the oxygen can get into the body and levelize the breathing rate. Heart problems also can cause problems in breathing, i.e. in case the heart doesn't pump enough blood out to the body, this will cause oxygen deficiency in the body. Thus the breathing system tends to take in oxygen. Possibly one or two of us might not understand that, but when heart is very essential for the pumping of the blood throughout the body, and oxygen is used everywhere in body processes. Now, when this structure and components that help us in gaining the oxygen through the body, or this structure can't pump enough blood that contains oxygen through the body is generally likely to go through oxygen deficiency, and what is resulted into is the pons and medulla oblongata tends to react to this situation, and they will cause the body to force itself to breathe more and more and more, to cause or to allow for the room of gaining of more and more oxygen into the body. That by the time the body or the individual breathes faster and faster, there is oxygen that gets into the body, and therefore heart problems is a cause of high breathing rate. Dehydration is generally, by definition, is a process in which the body loses water. Generally, is a process in which the body loses water. Yeah, but what are some factors which can lead to the body leading to the loss of water? I.e. temperature. When the temperature is too high in the body tends to lose water, and when the body loses water, it in contrary requires as well to gain more water and more oxygen. Therefore, when you dehydrate, remember, when you dehydrate, remove water, and water is a component of hydrogen and oxygen, and therefore it is well known and it's very obvious that when water moves out of your body, that is oxygen leaving your body. Therefore, the body is only likely to go down in oxygen. And what happens after that? When there is low oxygen in the body tends to give a measure that will levelize the rate of breathing. Therefore, when the body dehydrates, a lot of water is lost, and when water is lost, oxygen is lost, and therefore when the body start breathing more and more and more, oxygen that is lost during respiration is gained slowly. Now, like I said earlier, this is a picture of people conducting an exercise like activity. That is, people who are doing some exercises. That is an illustration of a factor that will cause somebody to breathe faster. Just like all of us, or any of us, hopefully all of us have been involved in such activity, physical activity. You experienced that the breathing rate increased with time. The rate increased over and over and over again. The rate of breathing increased when you perform a given activity. For example, after the video, maybe you can go try, you run maybe 100 meters at your top speed. You will realize what happens. The body tends to gain more oxygen through fast and fast breathing, and you even become thirsty. What does that mean? When you become thirsty, you need more water to get into the body. Just like any other person knows, water gets into the body, there is increase, or water itself is oxygen. Just like others say, water is life. Water itself is oxygen. And therefore, when you drink that water, the body tends to counter for the lost. It tends to gain oxygen through that. And also, you will physically breathe faster. You will breathe and breathe and breathe and breathe and breathe because of the activity that you've done. That is a proper explanation. This is just a picture of what happens, or what shows people This is a picture of people who are tempting to do something in form of exercise. Another factor that we left out but we need to know is a very important one: age. Age is a factor that affects the breathing rate. Age, for example, in that table you can see that the newborn to 6 weeks has extremely very high, very high breaths per minute, that is 30 to 60. 6 weeks to 6 months, 25 to 40. 1 to 3 years, 20 to 30. 30 to 3 to 6 years, 20 to 25. 10 to 14, 15 to 20, and adults basically has the breathing rate of 12 to 10. But somebody is likely to ask the question like, why do you think children tend to breathe faster than adults or than elderly? But the answer is very simple. When a child is still young, there is a lot of metabolic activity in the body. The body still undergoes cell division, a lot of cell division. The body requires a lot of energy. The body requires a lot of things, and therefore, when the respiration process or the energy breakdown or the energy gaining process happens, the children, when the energy breakdown process happens, there is a lot of carbon dioxide in the body that should be countered by increase in oxygen. But in case of adults, the body has undergone the maximized cell division, there is reduced cell division, and therefore that implies that there is reduced metabolic rate in their bodies, and therefore they only need few breaths per minute. That is the simple reason that stays behind that factor. That's what happens and what makes the difference between the child breathing rate and the adult's breathing rate. But it is worth noting that the time or the amount of breath an individual should be having per minute for health issues, for health cases, so that you know that when I exceed this, it is abnormal. It needs some health precautions that should be done, or you need to see the doctor to perform some health assessment in your body so that it returns to normal. So those are the factors. Like I said earlier, these are emotions. As you can see, the normal anger, happiness, surprise, fear, disgust, and the hormone responsible for that is called adrenaline. When adrenaline drops or is higher above norm, there is need for increase in oxygen or decrease in oxygen in the body. For example, in case where somebody fears something or somebody is in anger, the adrenaline drops, and this leads to inquiry of more and more oxygen in the body. And that marks the end of this presentation. It was all about factors affecting breathing rate, and hope to see you in the next video. Have a good time. Wish you well.